Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Good Omens. Last time around we had The Ball. What happened on that one?
Well, essentially Shax went down and requested a legion of foul fiends and ended up getting 70. And one of those was destroyed because he kept asking too many questions.
Yeah.
The idea is they're going to invade the bookstore to find Gabriel, even though they don't actually know that he's there.
They highly suspect that Aziraphale has...
But there's a miracle which guards him from being recognized.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Aziraphale has decided that since Crowley's rainstorm did not work, he's holding, under the pretext of Wickby Street? Wickber Street, the shopkeepers meeting, he's holding a Jane Austen-style ball to get all the people together, but specifically to get Maggie and Nina to see if they will fall in love.
Yes. Which, now that I really stop and think about it, they had this whole thing where it's like, well, they're doing this because that's the ploy, basically. It's like, oh, no, I didn't use that miracle to disguise Gabriel. I did it so two humans would fall in love. And maybe it's just because it feels like a lot of time has passed, but maybe time really hasn't passed that much in this season. But it feels like Heaven never really followed up on that. Maybe they just don't actually care that much because they're too busy with Gabriel. But, I don't know. But, I mean, the miracle does work because nobody recognized him, not even the demons. He went right out there with a giant white fur coat and everything, and none of the demons could recognize him, So yeah, Aziraphale threw... It sounded weird the way I said Aziraphale threw... Yes, he didn't fall through, but yes, his name is complicated, okay?
Mr. Fell.
Yes, Mr. Fell had the ball, and he did something in the air to where everyone except Crowley was way more wholesome than they should be. So, which was funny, so... and I made a joke in the description of the last episode that the demons are coming in to throw a true Jane Austen ball, as Crowley would say. So, also Crowley has been arrested and is being taken to heaven.
Yes.
Well,
that was at the very end.
Yes, I say he's been arrested. He got himself arrested specifically to go to heaven. So, yeah, I guess that was pretty much it. So
Inspector Constable arrested him.
Right, yeah. She was just kind of hanging out there. So yeah, we are moving on into the final episode of Season 2. No word yet on Season 3, if there will be. I mean, I get the feeling there will be.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, I don't know how many shows Amazon Prime actually has. Like, I know they have The Boys, and I know they have, like, Invincible and stuff, but I don't know. I never hear too much about Amazon Prime original shows, and I know this is just so popular that I feel like this will get a Season 3. So yeah, what will be Season 3? Maybe we'll have something to speculate on here at the end. What happened to Gabriel in the first place? I would like to know that at some point. So, yeah. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then why don't we just go ahead and jump right into this episode of Good Omens. Here we go.
Will you just answer a simple question?
If I hear one, of course. This way, please, Jim.
What is happening? Why is everything so weird? This all started last week when the power went out, didn't it?
3 questions, none of them simple. But to answer your last one, no. I thought it might make you realize that Maggie loved you. And then you'd fall in love with her. It all looks so simple in Jane Austen.
Jane Austen?
Oh, yes, the brains behind the 1810 Clerkenwell diamond robbery.
Forget about the bees.
Bees?
Angels are like bees, fiercely protective of their hive if you're trying to get inside. Once you're in, wow. Is it even faintly possible that an unauthorized demon might be just wandering around in heaven unescorted? Bees.
But you don't look like a bee. You look like a murder hornet or a snake or a...
Bees. Right. You're of it. I'll follow you.
I want to believe that's what he used to wear.
You might be invincible, but you're still stuck out there, and we're in here. You don't frighten me. I had brothers. You don't scare me by making faces.
Just leave him alone, Maggie.
No.
You run a shop nobody visits. Unable to pay the rent. Dull. You are unloved and unlovable. You're nobody. And you'll live, and then you'll die. A nobody.
Gee, she went all Kylo Ren on her. Nothing.
My God, you lot are pathetic.
Eleanor
You want to
Rigby.
come in here and say that to my face?
Come on, quickly, go.
Oh, they got a new Eric. Well,
She accidentally invited them in.
that didn't work.
Maggie, what just happened?
That's not fair. She shouldn't have the authority. It's not her shop.
Get back here now, fast. Please. It's for your own good. I am perfectly prepared to take defensive action should it become necessary.
What happened to your sword?
Back.
Right.
Oh. You know how hard it is to make Erics? I love even the snakes on his sideburns are a different color.
Myself is.
It's all confidential. I can't show it to you. I mean, I couldn't open it if I wanted to. I don't have clearance. You'd have to be a throne or a dominion or above.
How should you do that?
I haven't always been a demon, and they never changed their passwords.
That makes sense. Woo.
Walking into the circle forever, even demons aren't that stupid.
So what's your plan?
Are you sure about that?
That was it.
It ends. Everything ends. Time and the world is over. And we begin eternity. Forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Nah.
Nah.
Yep, sorry, just not seeing it this time. Pass.
And may I ask why you're not seeing it?
You had a chance. You blew it.
Really?
There's even more fire extinguishers up here.
Oh. It's amazing how effective that is.
Even though.
No speeches, Gabriel. You are not going to hell. For one prince of heaven to be cast into the outer darkness makes a good story. For it to happen twice makes it look like there is some kind of institutional problem.
Which there isn't.
Which
Clearly.
is to say, there isn't.
Got it. Well, I'll just need to take off my clothes and clean out my desk then.
You have a desk.
Yes, I do. I'll just need a, I'll be right back.
Why would he not have a desk?
Can we throw books at them?
I'd rather you didn't.
Obviously, no fiction, but encyclopedias? It's all online these days anyway.
You must. Oh. I haven't done this since the Great War. It's something we're only meant to do when we're actually on a wartime footing.
It's Halo. Oh. Oof. It's gonna say, throw that like Sailor Moon. Ah, that's better.
World, isn't it? What did you do to them all? I did the thing with the halo. I did the thing with the halo. You blew up your halo. Oh, hell won't like that.
I didn't realize those were so volatile.
Nice job, Shax. Beautifully done. Remind me to put in for your commendation.
Sarcasm, yes?
I'm afraid so.
There's only one fly here, and it's familiar. Come here.
Come on.
Good boy.
Lord of the Flies.
Wonder nobody could find you.
Why did you want to meet me here?
Well, if we're going to have background talks, they can't be in either of our home territories.
And what do we need to discuss?
Armor bloody Geddon. That was a complete and utter pain in the ass.
I know, but we are ready for round 2.
As are we. Utterly ready. Armageddon, here we come.
Armor bloody getting. Armor bloody getting.
It doesn't sound right with his
Well,
accent.
you lost. Instead of Armageddon, what about no Armageddon?
An interesting proposal. No Armageddon. They won't like that, though. Most of my demons live for Armageddon, if you can call that living.
Well, my angels too, but you can't always get what you live for.
Advantages to no Armageddon?
We keep the status quo static and, quoey. That's music.
I like it. Contains information in a tuneful way. Every day something is getting closer.
Then I also like it.
I wasn't expecting this.
Here you go.
So a budding relationship between Beelzebub and Gabriel?
You don't actually have to consume it.
Oh, packet of crisps? Good.
I don't actually know what to say.
Why not?
No one's ever given me anything before. I was coming to you, but I forgot.
Well, I think Aziraphale probably took much better care of you than I could have done.
Beelzebub, you traitor, collaborating with heaven.
I didn't collaborate with heaven any more than Gabriel collaborated with hell.
I just found something that mattered more to me than choosing sides.
That's really sweet.
Some of us have been working all night, you know.
Whoops.
But Zane have got no idea about it to win you. I've had quite enough of this. You will speak, one at a time.
Get a pillow. Pass it around.
Why don't we ask them where they'd like to go?
Oh, this is ridiculous.
No, there are precedents. Hell doing heaven's punishing for you. Job. That was one. Lovely man. Never met him. And Gabriel.
I would like better clothes, and I would like to be with Beelzebub. Where Beelzebub is my heaven.
And where you are, my sweet, is forever my hell.
You know, Alpha Centauri is nice. Always wanted to go there.
Hell will send all its legions to hunt you down.
You know as well as I do how badly understaffed hell is right now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
People ever ask for death? What? What the name of your establishment? Give me coffee or give me death? I assume they always ask for coffee.
They don't ever ask for death, no.
No, I don't suppose they do. You don't have the authority to do anything like that.
and who are you?
For heaven's sake. And I mean that most literally. You don't know me? Oh,
Have we done anything wrong?
well, that remains to be seen, does it not? Well, go on, off you go, the lot of you. Except the dim one. I may need you. Well, we have things to talk about. Shall we take a little stroll?
Go on. They can't get any word.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to answer immediately. Take all the time you need.
I don't know what to say.
Well then, go and tell your friend the good news.
Oh no. Last act drama.
They want him to take Gabriel's place, no doubt.
Which is going. I'm sure you two have a lot to say.
There's only one candidate who makes even the slightest bit of sense. And that's you.
And I said, me? And he said,
Well, yes, you're a leader. You're honest. You don't just tell people what they want to hear. It's why Gabriel came to you in the first place, I imagine. There are huge plans afoot, enormous projects. And I will need you to run them. You are just the angel for the job.
To be fair, he is the most competent of all the angels.
I don't want to. He said I could appoint you to be an angel. You could come back to heaven and everything like the old times. Only even nicer.
Right. Tell me you said no. If I'm in charge, I can make a difference.
And I would like to spend. I mean, if Gabriel and Beelzebub can do it, go off together, then we can. Just the two of us. We don't need heaven. We don't need hell. They're toxic. We need to get away from them. Just be an us. You and me. What do you say?
Come with me to heaven. I'll run it. You can be my second in command.
You idiot. We could have been us.
He's literally going with, that could have been us, but you playing.
I forgive you. Don't bother. The next step in the great plan.
Yes, you mentioned that. Can I know what it is?
Well, it's something we need an angel of your talents to direct. An angel who is familiar with how they do things on Earth. We call it the second coming.
Uh-oh. Man, it's like the end of The Empire Strikes Back. Alright. Looks like that's pretty much it.
Well, I think we said all along that they were setting up the second coming and or the next step. But that is a surprise. I'm honestly surprised at how that worked out.
Yeah. It's definitely The Empire Strikes Back of now everything didn't go so well. They're split up. Like, I don't know, you almost expect someone to go to Crowley and be like, don't worry, we'll get him back from that bounty hunter, you know? So, okay. As a quick thing for this season, I think it almost could have worked a little bit better if the flashbacks in the previous episodes were sort of given that bookend of the Metatron.
Yeah.
Because that's clearly what that was supposed to be. But that's not made, obvious or even subtle at all until this episode, that he was looking back on those moments. So,
yeah. I have to say that, yes, the commenters who had seen all 6 episodes, probably, binged them all at once, that makes a lot of sense. Seeing it over the last 6 weeks, however, it was somewhat difficult for us to pick up on those clues, like you just said. But I think that's an interesting resolution. The clues were there. I mean, the matchbox. Now, I don't know that we ever saw the fly.
No.
And when I don't think they ever showed Gabriel leaving heaven so we could see him writing on the box.
Right.
So, yes, there were some very subtle clues. But again, stretched out over 6 weeks like we've done it, it was hard to remember 1 week from the next, all of those things.
Yeah. I feel like even if there was, like, you see the fly, like, around the bookshop, and, just as a passing thing, you just hear a little buzz, they kind of swat it away, I still feel like that wouldn't immediately go towards, oh, it's something with Beelzebub, because Beelzebub always has flies, I would just figure, because if there's anything, it's like, well, it's hell. It probably smells down there. It could be any of them, but Beelzebub specifically does have the flies, so... So, yeah. I was certainly not expecting that to be the reason Gabriel lost... I mean, I guess we know why... Well, they were going to erase his memories, and then he just did it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So
he did it to himself, put it all in the fly, so that they could not erase that, because he wanted to remember Beelzebub.
Yeah. So...
again, very clever, and I think if I were reading it in a novel, or if we had watched all 6 episodes within, a day or two, that would have made way more sense. But, yeah, I think we kind of did ourselves a disservice by stretching it out over 6 weeks.
I mean, and that's just the thing with just how we're recording it and everything. And I will say, because we discussed this earlier in the season, of there are some shows that now are kind of going back to that weekly format. House of the Dragon recently on HBO Max, and I think The Last of Us on HBO Max, back when it was HBO Max, they did that weekly. And I can't remember if someone said that Neil Gaiman did want it to be weekly, and then Amazon overruled it, or Amazon wanted it to be weekly and he overruled it. I can't remember which one it was, but that's the thing, is I feel like some seasons, like the first season, I think is good if you go on a week-to-week basis. Yeah. There's enough there. I mean, because last night we rewatched the first 2 episodes of season 1, and I was watching, I was like, man, there's a lot in these episodes. Huh. What happened, And although there was a lot in this episode, but this season is very much the sort of toned down, because it wants to be that bridge, which isn't exactly like The Empire Strikes Back, but it wants to be that bridge to our presumably final season. But in that sense, you do kind of go through this, and it's like, I might have been more on board. Yeah, honestly, I might have been more on board if I didn't have time to think about every episode, which is not a really good thing to say, but that is the thing. Is like, because I remember that was a problem. This doesn't count towards the counter, and I've already ticked the counter down this episode, but when Netflix released the 6th season, basically, of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Normally it had gone week to week, but they were Netflix, and they were finally, they were basically producing it, and so they just released 12 episodes at once. and nobody talked about it. You know, everyone watched it, they talked about it maybe for like a couple days, and then after that, nobody talked about it again. And it was a shame because in all the previous seasons, it was all dragged out. Each season was about 40 episodes-ish. And so everyone talked week to week about what was going on and all this, you know, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so that was sort of a problem, where here, we're talking about it week to week, but because of that, we're almost finding faults or just things that, you know, don't work week by week, but can work all together. So yeah, it's kind of a half and half, but it did, again, we still did enjoy the season all the way through, and this was a good finale episode.
And also, just to address the elephant angel in the room, a lot of people, I think, in the comments were wondering why we didn't see the relationship between Aziraphale and Crowley as the underlying thing. We knew that. We did know that from the very... I mean, we said that back in season 1, is that it's very obvious that the two of these men, although they never say it, they work together for thousands of years, millions of years, and they do love each other. You know, it comes down to they are soulmates. And yes, that's no surprise to us at the end with what happens here. You know, it's essentially what we've expected all along. What we did not expect was for them to finally go, wait a minute, Crowley does not want to go back to heaven. Remember, the whole reason that they left heaven in the first place is because they didn't want to be working under somebody.
Yeah.
And if Aziraphale had said, work side by side with me, Crowley might have considered that. But he said, you will be my second in command, and he said, no.
It could have only worked if Crowley... This would have been ridiculous, but if Crowley had also been given the job of Supreme Archangel. Yeah. But nobody wants that. Clearly, and even the Metatron didn't want that, and he didn't want that.
And again, Crowley has been on Earth long enough to know the bad side of humanity. He does acknowledge that humans do good stuff now and then, but he said for the most part, you know, we're, I think Kurt Vonnegut said, we are intelligent monkeys who kill. And again, Aziraphale always sees the good side. He acknowledges that people have done bad things, but he says, we can do better. Crowley, more the cynic, says, look, I understand, yes, there are moments of brilliance in the human race, but for the most part, you know, we're just ignorant, warmongering monkeys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the setup here and the conclusion make perfect sense based on everything in season 1 and now season 2.
Yeah.
But again, we acknowledge that from the very beginning. So it's not a surprise to us. We're not downplaying it. It's just we accepted that from literally from the very first episode of season 1 that these two guys just literally love each other.
I'll tell you what, I probably commented on their relationship as much as I would have commented on a straight relationship, in that, yeah, okay, and what's the plot? What are they going to do?
Yeah.
You know? Which, but yeah, and that, because I mean, I think that's the thing, is just sort of the framing device of this season, because it's, well, we have this whole thing with Gabriel. What's going on? Okay, we get it in the last episode, but other than that, there aren't that many hints. You know, we don't know, like, well, you know, like maybe if 2-3 episodes ago we had learned, wait a minute, Gabriel wanted to stop Armageddon. He just didn't want to go for round 2, and then you kind of have that, and it's like, okay, why? And you kind of go through, maybe, just maybe, you can somehow piece that together. Although I don't know. If you gave me 1,000,000 years, I wouldn't have come up with Gabriel and Beelzebub fell in love. I didn't expect that, but okay, it works. But which it basically works exactly the same way that Crowley and Aziraphale worked.
To me, having watched it now completely, in the pub, in the Resurrectionist pub up in Edinburgh, the bartender talked about the man in the grey suit, but didn't say anything about the other person being so oddly dressed.
Yeah.
And that would have been, I mean, just something there, just a clue, just saying, yeah, the man in the grey suit, very well dressed, the other person looked like a chimney sweep.
Yeah, because even then you could think, well, you know, maybe Gabriel, he's lost his mind, he's a fallen angel, and he's gonna go join hell and help them, you know, win the war and everything or something. and he's a traitor to heaven. But even then, you still probably wouldn't get, they're just leaving. They're not on either side anymore. So I think it's a bit of that is just the framing. I almost want to say, because the flashbacks themselves were fine. I just think the framing device of this season could have used an extra draft or an extra pair of eyes or something, which is strange too, because that seemed to be all Neil Gaiman was doing this season anyway, because most of the flashbacks, the minisodes, were written by someone else. So I think that's it. It's just if you tighten that up a little bit, have a bit more clues throughout the season, maybe not necessarily that makes it so obvious once you get here, but just sort of leave the little clues and it can work, So, and I wrote this down, which I think it was during the second episode with Job, that something I thought they were kind of going for with showing, I guess, the temptation of Aziraphale to eat food, and it's well, is Crowley making him worse? Is he making him a fallen angel, which is what Aziraphale has to deal with in that flashback? It's I lied to them, I'm a fallen angel, and Crowley's well, I won't tell them if you won't, and I was kind of thinking maybe what this will lead to is not, the literally black and white, heaven and hell, all this stuff. Maybe it is just getting more towards this human chaos sort of thing, which is why, and this is all probably my fault for thinking this, but that's why when they said, oh yeah, he had a gray suit on, that stuck in my mind, because for some reason I thought he just had white suits on. I thought that they all wore white except for Aziraphale, but I forgot that he wore a gray suit, because I thought, okay, if he's in a gray suit, gray, a mixture of black and white, maybe that could be something, or something's there, and it's maybe leading to this more human chaos, because that is sort of one thing about, I guess, not to get trying to get too deep on it or anything, but just the idea of chaos itself, it's technically neither bad nor good. It's just chaos, and that can be, that's brought up a lot, in The Dark Knight or something, because that's what the Joker does and stuff, and it doesn't have to necessarily be bad or good, but that could be where that was leading, and that's honestly where Crowley and Aziraphale have led themselves to over the years. That's why they both stopped Armageddon, because they enjoy Earth, they enjoy the chaos, they enjoy all of this, so they kind of deal with that a bit, but now, obviously, with this season, it's well, yes, Gabriel and Beelzebub are now like that, and Crowley still wants that, but Aziraphale, he's still got that old ineffable plan in his head, and he thinks he can fix it.
And again, this is minor. Introducing, again, I don't know if it's Derek Jacobi or Jacoby.
Yeah.
But introducing him and not having Francis McDormand as the voice of God coming down.
Yeah.
Because again, I would have to go back and look to see if I can find an entity known as the Metatron. Now,
yeah.
Crowley mentions in the bookstore, last time I saw you were a giant floating head or something like that.
Yeah, so that was in season 1. I think it's just before the final episode in season 1 that it's well, Armageddon's about to happen, and his face basically appears in the bookshop, and it's all right, Armageddon's happening, Aziraphale, you're gonna come on up, right? And I think that's what the circle was as well, which he used against the demons in this episode. So, and it was after that I think the bookshop lit on fire, and then, see, I think that was it, or maybe Crowley was there, or Crowley, I remember Crowley was there, but that was it. We don't normally see him in person. Okay. He just seems to be this
Yeah, I kind of vaguely remembered him from season 1, but again,
yeah,
I was trying to place it exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, and I guess, one thing I will say with how they specifically wrote it, the way Crowley says, heaven and hell, they're toxic. And I will say, I did just think about, that really is what it is, because it's, Aziraphale, he's still got the delusions of, heaven, it's still ineffable and the Almighty's plan. Even if he doesn't agree with the angels, he still agrees with God. But then when I just said, it's like, oh, he thinks he can go up there and he can fix it. And that really does show a similarity to Aziraphale used to have a terrible, toxic relationship, with an old lover or whoever, but he's under the delusion you can fix them. And Crowley, like anyone who should be there, is saying, no, you need to get out of this. Don't waste your time on that, because they are not worth you, basically. So there, we're using all of our Crowley and Aziraphale romantic talk. We've been piling it all in, waiting for the right moment. Totally, this was totally planned. Let's see what else we got. So I'm assuming Aziraphale didn't get his halo back because it exploded, which I didn't even realize. I never thought about the fact that they're angels, but they don't have the traditional halo, but it's something just a part of his head, basically. But yeah, blowing up your own halo, that constitutes war, apparently. So,
well, it's like throwing down the gauntlet, I guess. You throw down your halo and hell picks it up and says, it's on.
Yeah, and that was the fourth or fifth Eric that died there. So, because I actually noticed when we rewatched the first episode of Good Omens, that when they have the Hellhound in the room, it's Eric that they just shove in there and have get eaten by the Hellhound. So, which I guess that brings up the question of how many demons are made and how many demons were originally angels. I guess that could be a question, because it's like, angels can probably just be made at any point. It's whenever God decides to make angels. But with demons, they were specifically former angels that, that left, they fell and everything like that. But if they start losing some of their ranks, how do you replenish that? I guess with Eric. I guess that's the main thing.
You can also, I guess, promote the damned.
Yeah.
The people the humans who have been sent to hell, and again continue their awful ways there and get moved up the chain of command.
Yeah, that's one step above the zombies from the other episode. So, but yeah, because when Crowley went to heaven and he was able to get in because they don't change the passwords and everything, he said, I used to be an angel. And you'd almost think, granted, Muriel's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Yeah, so, but like you would think that would just be common knowledge for an angel. That, although I guess that could also mean that Muriel is younger. Maybe she wasn't there at the original battle. Yeah. So,
I used to say, I can't remember exactly when I first said this, but Muriel, to take the analogy of the, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, in a drawer full of knives, Muriel is a spoon.
Well, yeah. Let's see what else we had. One thing I this isn't really about the episode itself, but just one thing I thought of recently. I was like, it's really funny that every character in this is basically British. Even in heaven and hell, everyone is British. I love that Gabriel is the only one who doesn't have the accent, because it's just John Hamm, and he's obviously so perfect, especially in season 1. It's like, no, he's absolutely perfect he's the guy at the top, Mr. Business with his suit and everything. Then he's still a little goofy because, he doesn't fully understand, things on Earth and stuff. But I do like that they highlight that in that episode when his arm a bloody getting, and he just can't say it convincingly because it just doesn't work with his accent. So, so yeah. Other than that, We got everything. I mean, yeah, everything with the Metatron was interesting. I am curious because, like, you know, in season 1, that's just kind of, you know, here's this thing in heaven that, you know, this almost like this automated computer thing in heaven that will, you know, get Aziraphale and take him there during Armageddon. But when you give him a, you know, an actual body and it's like, oh, he has, you know, some sort of authority, it does make you question, what exactly is he? Because I don't think, you know, like you said, I don't think there's something called the Metatron in the Bible itself, or somewhere, I don't know. Yeah. So, but yeah, we have Archangel Aziraphale, which the rest of them are going to enjoy that, I'm sure. I mean, honestly, he might not even last that long. There might be a coup to get rid of him, you know? I wouldn't put it past them at this point. But, and I do at least understand, because it is one thing when you look at all the angels, it's like, oh, Aziraphale is the competent one of the angels. That's a terrifying thought when you really think about it. It's like, they are really good at passing judgment and fighting in wars, and nothing else. And he's got all the experience on Earth.
I think the phrase you were alluding to earlier, he's lawful chaos.
Yeah.
He's not neutral chaos. He's lawful. You know, I'm in charge, and I realize I'm not perfect, but I will do what I can to make things better.
Yeah, and I guess, okay, so let's theorize. Season 3, the second coming. What about that would require Aziraphale who has been on Earth? Is it to, you know, get everyone on Earth to, you know, come on board with it? Because it's not Armageddon, specifically.
No. But, again, it's been a while since I've read the Book of Revelation. Certain signs have to happen. Again, we may have mentioned this in season 1. A wonderful movie called The Seventh Sign, I think. And it's about a modern-day incarnation of Jesus coming back to Earth. Nobody recognizes him, but he sets in motion the breaking of the 7 seals to set up the battle between the East and the West in the Valley of Megiddo and the Plain of Jezreel and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so the first thing that has to happen is the angels have to start gathering with the seals to announce that Armageddon is coming, and then Jesus will come back, and there will be the battle with the Antichrist, although there'll have to be a new Antichrist now, which may be Crowley when it comes to it. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, but there's an entire sequence of events that has to lead up to the return of Jesus.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would almost wonder too, because, you know, it's specifically Aziraphale as the new Archangel, I wonder if you could almost lean into, assuming they are going to bring in Jesus into this. I mean, it's the second coming. You can't just, like, kind of have him in the background, you know? So if they have him, maybe one thing, too, that the Metatron is thinking is, he was human, you know? He lived on Earth for 33 years. Not as much as Aziraphale, mind you, but he lived there for 33 years. He has to have some human knowledge, human experience, so maybe that's why you specifically need Aziraphale, as, you know, you can work with that human element, which you need to do anyway on Earth. But yeah, that is the thing too, though. It's like, well, if it's going to be, it's like, well, he has to battle the Antichrist. He's currently a 12-year-old boy in Tadsfield, so a young boy named Adam. So could that be the return? I mean, you know, we talked about not many characters, aside from Heaven and Hell characters, returning for this season. But, I don't know, could we bring back Adam at that point? I don't know.
If I recall correctly, the Antichrist is going to be definitely a military leader, but also possibly a political leader. So,
well, and that was the thing. That's what they were trying to set up with, like, well, he's the son of a U.S. ambassador, basically, yeah. And then that just didn't work out. So I don't know. I'm curious, like, how how far they will go with the Second Coming. And of course, it will still be about Aziraphale and Crowley, and how eventually they will patch things up and they will live happily in a bookstore forever and ever. But it is a big thing. I mean, it's the same thing as last season, where it's like, here's the relationship between them, also the end of the world. So now we just basically have to do that again. Yeah. But this time we're just getting them back together. So yeah. Big stakes and big cliffhanger going into season 3. Hopefully they announce a renewal for it soon. And I guess if not, then we'll wait for the book to come out and we'll read that instead. So, yeah. You got anything else?
Just that I guess we're going back to the Fifth Doctor. For those of you who are not our Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
We've been doing this. We took a break from our literally going from 1963 up to 1989, and we are now in the second season of the Fifth Doctor.
Just about. We have like one more episode of his first season.
And we'll be finishing that up sometime in the next year.
Yeah. So, for those of you specifically, let me look at a calendar here. Let's see. So if we record that there, and then I'll record it there. No, wait. Mondays. That's it. September the 25th on YouTube, Doctor Who Classic Reactions will return, and they'll come back a week earlier on Patreon. So that's the definitive date for all of you who have been patiently impatient for us to return to classic Doctor Who, for better or for worse. So, with all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. I also wanted to check. Okay, I did spell angels correctly. Alright. Just wanted to make sure, because I wrote down angel like twice, and I couldn't be sure. So, there's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those, and links in the description. See you guys later.